It is another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of August 6, 1999. 5 films to look at, 5 notable films for the most part. Not much more to say there, but let's go ahead and jump right on into it. And we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, M. Night Shyamalan's The Sixth Sense.
You know the accident up there?
Yeah.
Someone got hurt.
They did?
A lady. She broke her neck.
Oh my god, but you can see her?
Yes.
Where is she?
Standing next to my window.
Baby, why are you shaking? Cole, what's wrong?
Did you ever talk to your mom about how things are?
I don't tell her things. Because she doesn't look at me like everybody else, and I don't want her to. I don't want her to know.
Know what?
I see dead people walking around like regular people.
I don't see anything. Are you sure they're there?
Sometimes you feel it inside, like you're falling down real fast. Do you ever feel the prickly things on the back of your neck?
Yes.
That's them. They get mad. It gets cold.
How often do you see them?
All the time. They're everywhere. They want me to do things for them.
I think that they know that you're one of these very rare people who can see them. So you need to help them.
What if they don't want to help?
I don't think that's the way it works.
How do you know for sure?
Is anyone there?
Please make them leave.
I'm working on it.
So this is the film that pretty much put M. Night Shyamalan on the map. You have a story that is very much simple. You have Bruce Willis as a child psychologist whose patient, played by Haley Joel Osment, claims he can see and talk to the dead. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory in that trailer there, but it was a film that really took a lot of people by surprise. I mean, not a lot of people really were prepared for how big of a success this movie was going to be. I mean, this is the second highest grossing film of the year, behind Star Wars. I mean, that should pretty much tell you everything you need to know. I mean, this is a film that only cost $40 million to make. It brought in over $670 million worldwide. I mean, people ate this up. And you know what? There was that point in time when everyone thought M. Night Shyamalan really was going to be the next great film director. And this was a film that perfectly shows everything about what makes him so great as a filmmaker. This has a great cast. Bruce Willis is fantastic in the film. Haley Joel Osment, who only a couple years prior to this was on the Jeff Foxworthy show, playing the kid on that show. And then you have Toni Collette, who really is very good in the film overall. And the film does a very good job of building up this atmosphere. The direction overall is really good. The writing overall is very good. The twist ending in here is legitimately really good. If you never saw the film like I did many years ago, you would have never seen this coming. But yeah, that ending, this is one of the few times when the surprise ending actually really does work in the film's favor. Like, it's a scene that you don't really see coming whatsoever, and when you put everything together, it's just like, okay, this all makes sense now. This is back when M. Night Shyamalan could do a really good twist, and not just do a twist because he has to do one, because that's what he's known for. But, yeah, the film still has a legitimately intimidating and terrifying feel at times when you're watching this kid. You know, he just wants to be normal. Like, he just doesn't want to be the person that always has to see dead people all over and have him be seen as the crazy kid. And you really do get behind him, and you really do get behind a lot of the characters in here. Like, you understand where everybody is coming from, and the film does a phenomenal job of handling that. This was a big hit, not just financially, but also in terms of Oscar worthy. It was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, including Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, Best Supporting Actor and Actress, Best Picture. I mean, that says everything you need to know there. Like, or just the Oscars needed a popular film for the zeitgeist. But yeah, there really is not much more to say about this one. The Sixth Sense really is it still holds up after all these years as a legitimately good M. Night Shyamalan film. It's still one of his crowning achievements. And it's a film that still really works after all these years. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out to see M. Night Shyamalan at his absolute best, because this is definitely him at his absolute best. So that's The Sixth Sense. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here, and that is Pierce Brosnan and Rene Russo in The Thomas Crown Affair.
Thomas Crown lives a double life.
Yes, of the fear of being trapped.
Risk taker by day,
I saw him wreck a $100,000 boat because he liked the splash.
thrill seeker by night.
Just how big of a thief are you?
Anything's attainable.
Is it more fun getting it than keeping it?
This summer, at theaters everywhere. Catch him if you can.
Just go!
The Thomas Crown Affair, rated R. Now playing.
So this is a remake of the 1968 film of the same name, which starred Steve McQueen and Faye Dunaway, and was actually nominated for 2 Academy Awards when that came out. You basically have Pierce Brosnan as Thomas Crown, a billionaire who steals a painting from an art gallery and is pursued by an insurance investigator played by Rene Russo, with the two falling in love. So it kind of has similar plots to something like Entrapment, which was not well received critically, but did pretty well financially. This one did pretty well both critically and financially. And this is directed by John McTiernan, who, of course, is best known for his work with Die Hard. And the script is written by Leslie Dixon, who's written a lot of stuff, including Hairspray, and Kurt Wimmer, who would later go on to have success with the cult hit Equilibrium later on a couple of years down the road. But this is a film that really is. It's actually a lot better than I honestly remember it. I remember it coming out, thinking that it was a hit when it came out, but it was a film that came and went, and nobody really ever talks about it anymore. But this is a film that really people should definitely give another shot, because it's a very sleek and very stylish film that really does make it hold up on its own merits to something where it could be like really, really. It's really one of the most underrated heist films you'll ever see. And yeah, I always thought it was like a generic erotic thriller at times too. But no, when the romantic scenes happen in this movie, you do feel the connection that Pierce Brosnan and Rene Russo have to have in order for this to work. And they actually do a pretty good job of handling this. This is a well done film. A very underrated film, honestly, the more I think about it. This is a film that definitely deserves some more attention. And one, I've been trying to get a physical copy of it for a number of years now, but I feel like I need to do that at some point, because this is a film that I actually kind of want to see again. I saw it maybe a couple of years ago, and from what I remember from it, I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed it. So this is one I definitely want to go back and check out again, as you should too. Definitely check it out. The Thomas Crown Affair. Can't recommend it enough. I seriously thought we were done with the show here, but no, we're only halfway through. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is the misguided attempt at trying to create a new superhero franchise, and that is Mystery Men.
Here's the deal.
What's up, Tiger Lily?
The city champions is in trouble.
Superhero.
Not available.
Okay, you know what? Can we just start again?
So what do? You call it the Mystery Man.
I like the way this man thinks.
Yeah. Should we not, or just let ourselves in? Mystery Men are ready to attack.
Just go with it.
Rated PG-13.
Misguided on a number of levels, including that terrible marketing campaign that it had, because wow, that was a bad TV spot that this film had. But this is based off of a series of books by Bob Burden called Flaming Carrot Comics, and you're basically following a pretty good cast in this. Hank Azaria, Claire Forlani, Jalene Garofalo, Eddie Izzard, Greg Kinnear, William H. Macy, Kel Mitchell, Lena Olin, Paul Rubens, Jeffrey Rush, Ben Stiller, Wes Studi, Tom Waits. And you have a story here where you have a team of lesser superheroes with unimpressive powers who are required to save the day from a criminal genius whose champion city resident superhero gets captured and essentially gets blown up in here. I mean, Greg Kinnear plays the superhero in this. He gets really messed up in this film, and this is kind of a precursor to what The Boys, I think, has really done a good job of handling, doing a very comedic and sometimes darker superhero comedy. And I think this was a film that maybe was a little bit too ahead of its time and probably didn't have the right director to really work with this. This director, Kinka Usher, has been mostly known for directing TV commercials overall. And this is a film where you really have to have probably a really good director who can handle something like this, someone like a Sam Raimi, like a guy who can because he did it so well with Darkman only 10 years prior to this, and this is something that I think maybe could could have really worked with a better director. I don't think they got the right person to direct it here. There are also times in this film when the film looks really, really cheap. Like, it's supposed to have this bigger budget and these nice special effects, but you see that shot of the city background, and it looks like something you'd see on an MS-DOS computer if you had that back in the early 80s, late 80s, early 90s. But at times the film can be very funny. The cast overall has a ton of fun with the work they're given here, and the film overall is fun at times. Does it work all the way through? Not really. There are a lot of elements in here that don't really work that well. It's really pick your poison with this one. Can you handle a lot of the goofy stuff in here? Can you handle this cast working off each other? I can handle it both very well. The marketing, I think, really didn't help the film when it was all said and done, and it kind of came and went, but it did have eventually go on to have a cult following to it, and yeah, needless to say, it's a fun little film. If you go into it with the right notes, you might have some fun with it. It's not the best of these type of films, but you really do expect it. I kind of expected less from it from when I watched it for the first time, but it's held up pretty well over the years, honestly, and I'm glad to see it's having somewhat of a cult following in the years since then, so yeah, that's Mystery Men for you. So let's go ahead and move on to easily the best movie of the weekend. It's one of my favorite films of all time, and probably one of yours as well, The Iron Giant.
SATCOM radar detected an unidentified object entering Earth's atmosphere.
Invaders from Mars.
Some assumed it was a large meteor or a downed satellite. This is no meteor, gentlemen. This is something much more dangerous.
So, I guess you're not gonna hurt me, huh? This is unbelievable. This is the greatest discovery since television or something. Hey, big metal guy! I got food here for you! Like a giant robot, I am now the luckiest kid in America! Banzai! All systems go! Lasso!
Hey there, Scout. Kent Mansley. I work for the government.
Now, why would you tell your mom about a giant robot?
Mom! A little privacy!
Sorry.
What are you talking about?
Where's the giant?
For some reason, the army is in our front yard, Mr. Mansley.
We must stop it at all costs. Go to Code Red. Repeat, Code Red.
We've gotta help him! Hogarth, no! We gotta hide!
Hey, stop! There's a kid in his hand!
You can't protect him, Hogarth. Warner Brothers Family Entertainment presents the story of a young boy
Look out for the boss!
and a giant from another world
You can fly?
who became a hero on this one.
You can fly!
The Iron Giant.
Honestly, I don't really want to go too much into this because we're going to eventually get to this when we get to the episode of the Reviewing Network Talks About, where I talk about this film and my top 30 favorite films of all time. This is actually number 19 on that list, so we're about a couple weeks away from that. So I'm going to try to sum up my thoughts on this movie just quickly here. So you basically have the story of this kid named Hogarth, who's raised by his mother, played by Jennifer Aniston, who's the widow of an Air Force pilot. He discovers an iron giant who fell from space, and with the help of a beatnik named Dean, played by Harry Connick Jr., they have to stop the U.S. military, and a federal agent played by Christopher McDonald, beautifully well by Christopher McDonald. From finding and destroying the Iron Giant takes place in 1957, October of 1957, in the state of Maine during the height of the Cold War. And just again to sum up my thoughts in here, because I want to save a longer review for when we do the Reviewing Network Talks About episode here. And I mean, really, there's not much more that really needs to be said about this film that hasn't already been said already. It has a great voice cast. Eli Marienthal playing Hogarth. Jennifer Aniston is great as Hogarth's mother. Harry Connick Jr. is great. Christopher McDonald, John Mahoney, Vin Diesel. Surprisingly really good in this film. Like, everyone thinks of him now as Fast and Furious, but his best characters are characters where he doesn't really have a whole lot to say, or just one word to say, either when he's playing Groot on Guardians of the Galaxy or the Iron Giant. I mean, it all works incredibly well here. The characters are great. The relationships they build are very nicely done. The script is very well written by Tim McCandless, directed by Brad Bird. Phenomenal job, of course. The animation is top-notch. The end of the movie is such one of those moments that it brings anybody to tears. Men, women, you name it. I mean, it's hard to sit through, man. It's just one of those things. It's like one word, and like you're trying to keep it together, but when he says that, it's just like, it's hard not to feel emotional after that. It's just something that, it's unfortunate this film bombed, because it was one of the biggest bombs that came out, but kind of like with Mystery Men, it had a really terrible marketing campaign. That trailer was great and all, but if you look for the commercials for the video release, and especially the TV spots, they did not do this film justice whatsoever. And of course, because of Quest for Camelot, it was another black mark on Warner Brothers Animation trying to compete with Disney, which led to, after this and Osmosis Jones, the studio kind of dropping down their expectations, because it was a great film, but it still did not make the money they wanted to. But it did go on to have a cult following over the years, largely because Warner Brothers really did believe in it. And if you watch Cartoon Network and the WB every Thanksgiving, they would play it 24 hours a day on Cartoon Network, and it would show up on the WB as their big Thanksgiving movie. And it helped to build the audience for this film, and it really has continued to grow all these years, to the point where the Iron Giant has been in not one but two big WB films in the last couple of years, Ready Player One and Space Jam: A New Legacy. So needless to say, the legacy of this character has continued to grow over the years. But like I said, I'll delve more into what I really like about this film when we get to that episode of the other show the Review Network talks about. But The Iron Giant, what more can you say? Classic film, one of my favorite films of all time. Not much more to say after that one. So, with that said, on to the last movie we have here. Kirsten Dunst and Michelle Williams in Dick.
August 4th.
We know things about Dick.
The secret is out.
How old are you?
23?
Is that your combined ages?
Dick,
There's no need to be snotty.
rated PG-13, opens everywhere Wednesday.
I mean, insert your jokes about the title here, but Dick is the story about, it's a comic reimagining of the Watergate scandal, which ended the presidency of Richard Nixon. It features a lot of cast members from not only Saturday Night Live, but also Kids in the Hall. Kirsten Dunst and Michelle Williams. Michelle Williams just coming off of Dawson's Creek success, and Kirsten Dunst coming off of, now I forgot what else she was. Yeah, a lot of movies. Interview with the Vampire, Jumanji, Small Soldiers. She did something recently that I can't remember now off the top of my head. I think that was it, because she didn't do the Virgin Suicides until after this. And then after that, of course, came Spider-Man and all that. But they both star as Betsy and Arlene, two warm-hearted but unworldly 15-year-old friends who, through various arbitrary circumstances, become the legendary Deep Throat figure who played a key role in bringing down the presidency of Nixon, played by Dan Hedaya. I mean, that premise is so stupid, but man, it works pretty well here. And the funny thing about it is, we now know who the real identity of Deep Throat is. I think it was Mark Feldman? Mark Feld. He was, but yeah, Mark Feld we now know him as Deep Throat, but this was like 9 years before we eventually figured out who that guy was. But it's a pretty risky gamble to take a comedic take on the Watergate scandal and do it like that, and shockingly, it works really well here, because they have a good director here in Andrew Fleming, who directed the last film he directed was The Craft. He also would later do The In-Laws, as well as Hamlet 2. So he's made some good films, and here's a film that is real. It knows it's pretty stupid. It knows it's got to be a smart. It's actually kind of a smart little satirical comedy with a little bit of a mix between. Alana Malton said it best. It's a cross between Clueless and All the President's Men meshed together, and I could definitely see that here. The casting overall is really, really good. I mean, I like a lot of the casting in this film. The film did not do so well at the box office. It actually kind of crashed and burned. I think it was because Sony. Their marketing research said that they indicated teenage girls were the film's biggest demographic, which I mean, yeah, Kirsten Dunst and Michelle Williams, of course, some of the biggest stars in there, so they put the promotional focus on them instead of the political aspects, which was the wrong move on that front there, because the film did not do so well. It opened up on a Wednesday, but it only brought in $2.2 million in its first weekend, only bringing in half of its budget of $13 million, But people have come around to it. It has since gotten a Blu-ray release, and people have slowly but surely have been coming around to it. I mean, it's a fun film. Just a phenomenal cast. Dunst, Williams, Hedaya, Will Ferrell, Bruce McCullough, Dave Foley, Terry Garr, Jim Brewer, Anna Gasteyer, Harry Shearer, Saul Rubinek. Ryan Reynolds has an early career role in here. French Stewart, Ted McGinley. It's a really, really funny movie. A very underrated little gem. And one you should definitely check out. It actually is really a ton of fun. If you haven't seen this film, like most of you probably have, definitely check this one out, because it actually is worth a watch. I highly recommend watching Dick. Insert your jokes there. So with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. We'll take a look at 3 more films next time, including Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy teaming up for the first time in Frank Oz's Bowfinger, Gwyneth Paltrow in Brokedown Palace, and another cult comedy from 1999, Detroit Rock City. So 3 films to look at. We'll look at those on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the place on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching, I will see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.